We will start with Pledge of Allegiance and inspirational reading. Jesse, would you introduce our students, please?
Denver is a senior honor roll student at Poquoson High School. He has taken voice lessons for 5 years and been involved with the community theater for 7 years. Denver hopes to attend JMU, VCU, or Juilliard to major in theater. He is currently in jazz choir, drum major for the band, and is a member of the Sound Station Show Band. Lauren is a well-rounded senior at PHS. She has a challenging academic schedule with many AP classes and performs in the jazz choir and is a member of the National Honor Society. Lauren has played soccer since 8th grade and is a lifeguard on the Coast Guard base. She hopes to attend Old Dominion University to receive her BSN and later become a nurse practitioner specializing in obstetrics, oncology, or anesthesiology.
Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Listen back to it.
Hold On to Your Dream by Donna Levine. There is inside of you all of the potential to be whatever you want to be, all of the energy to do whatever you want to do. Imagine yourself as you would like to be, doing what you want to do, and each day take one step towards your dream. And though at times it may seem too difficult to continue, hold on to your dream. One morning, you will awake to find that you are the person you dreamed of, doing what you wanted to do, simply because you had the courage to believe in your potential and to hold on to your dream.
Excuse me. Thank you very much. Next, we'll move into our student presentations. And tonight's presentation is going to be from the high school choral group in the Pocket, and they are a jazz choir formed as a class in 2008 by Scott Bumbaugh. The group performs at many community events. They have won first and second place awards in both the Honor Festival of Choirs and the Hampton Roads Choir Invitational. They've been recognized for their community service from the Yorktown Foundation Tall Ships Committee. Take it away. one of the prettiest songs ever written, I think, and you certainly did it justice. Thank you very much for coming out. Okay. And typically, we will take an intermission after our recognitions, but tonight, we're going to skip the intermission. So at any time, you feel free to leave, okay? So that's totally up to you guys. Next, we go to additions and/or modifications to the agenda. Dr. Parrish, do we have any?
We have none this evening.
And there are no recognitions. And next, we'll move into our presentations and reports. First up, for a SEAC presentation, that's the Special Education Advisory Committee. We have Shelley Furlman, who is the chairperson for our local committee.
Good evening. I'd like to thank the school board for their continued support of programs for children with disabilities. I would also like to thank Mr. Carter for his involvement with the SEAC last year, and we really look forward to working with Mr. Melton in this coming year. We are open to any suggestions you all have for program topics. We're always trying to get people involved. The mission of SEAC is to encourage family involvement and to provide support, ongoing discussion about educational issues, sharing information, and planning joint training events. This past year, we have continued our efforts to promote involvement and attendance at SEAC meetings and have had about 8 to 16 people at each meeting. It's been a pleasure to see parents getting involved with the committee, not just when there's an issue to solve, but to meet other parents and learn more about special education. I would also like to thank Mrs. Pam Upchurch, who is the staff representative for the Poquoson City Schools, and she has agreed to serve again this year. The SEAC met 4 times this past school year. In October 2011, the topic was, "What is the Special Education Advisory Committee and how does it help my child?" Presented by Dr. Suzanne Creasy of the Virginia Department of Education and Student Services. At the December 11th meeting, Megan Foley presented Using Technology as part of a speech-language services in Poquoson City Public Schools. This was the most highly attended meeting of the school year. Parents were excited to hear that Poquoson, little old Poquoson, is using state-of-the-art technology in the school system, and the parents were really eager to take that technology home and use it with their children. In February, Robin Jorlette and Mary Ellen Chesney presented school-based OT and PT therapies versus interventions provided in a clinic or private practice. This was a good example to explain the differences of therapy services that you receive at school as opposed to what you would see in an office. School is meant to help the child excel in a school situation, and that's what makes it different. At the final meeting, Tricia Gray of Colonial Behavioral Health presented the Family Outreach Service for Autism Spectrum Disorder grants through the Williamsburg Community Health Foundation, and Mrs. Feltman also presented the PCPS annual plan. In our efforts to increase awareness of all SEAC meetings, they were included in the monthly school bulletin, the resource news mailer, and the school division's website. Thanks to Mrs. Feltman's efforts, SEAC meeting information was also communicated directly to the staff, and robocalls were made to all families that have a child with IEPs. We will meet this year on the following dates: October 11th, December 13th, February 21st, 2013, and April 11th, 2013. All meetings will be held at the Poquoson Elementary School at 4:30 p.m., and I hope you will join us for a meeting in October and share any ideas or suggestions that you have for upcoming topics. It's our hope that through the support of parents and teachers, we will make Poquoson City Schools an even better place for students with special needs to learn and grow. I look forward to serving as the chair for the SEAC this year. Thank you again for your support and for giving me the opportunity to come and speak to you tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Furlman. And I would strongly encourage community members and parents to get involved. I was involved for 2 years with SEAC committee, and it's one of those programs that tends to fly under the radar, but the work they do is phenomenal. Their dedication to the students and to the quality of education they give our students is simply over the top. Thank you very much for your work. Next up, we'll have financial update with Mr. Bowen.
If I could interrupt as Mr. Bowen gets started too, he'll be presenting information about an action item for you. It's your second action item, 7B on the agenda, but we wanted to make sure the community had a full understanding of what we were bringing forward to you as a recommendation.
Good evening, Chairman Carter, school board members, Dr. Parrish. As Dr. Parrish said, the finance update this evening will focus on the federal education jobs bill funds and a proposed employee bonus. Let me begin by providing some history on the funds. In August of 2010, PCPS was given a supplemental appropriation of stimulus funds in the amount of $498,000. And the primary purpose, one of the primary purposes of these funds was to provide employees with some type of compensation, whether that be in salary increase, one-time bonus, or to pay for ongoing benefits. Now, at the time when we received these funds, Poquoson was faced with an economic crisis, budget crisis. We still haven't overcome that situation, but we were in the heart of that crisis. So it was the intent of the board at that time to hold on to these funds as long as possible until they were set to expire in case we needed to use those funds for our operating budget. And it turned out to be a prudent decision because in 2012, PCPS had to use $87,000 of the Jobs Bill Fund in its operating budget. And again, in 2013, which is our current year, we have $168,000 in Jobs Bill funds in our budget. Now, with that, we have $243,000 left as a balance, and we brought that money forward to be used as a one-time bonus, with one caveat, and that is that the actual average daily membership, which is what the state uses to fund schools, either met or exceeded our projected average daily membership for budget. And I will talk to about that for just a moment. We often hear the word enrollment and average daily membership. Well, these are actually two different terms. And enrollment is those number of students that are actually enrolled in your school. Average daily membership is the daily membership for a particular period, usually a month. Now, how many members are actually at that school for that particular day over the course of a month. And this is, again, this is how the state funds us. Average daily membership is always lower than your enrollment. So what Poquoson has seen, and again, average daily membership is a significant budget factor for the school division. What we've seen over the past couple of years, from 2011, 2012, we've experienced an 85 student decrease in average daily membership, which has contributed, hasn't been the sole reason why we've seen such large state budget reductions, but has certainly contributed to those reductions. From 2012 and going into 2013, we were projecting an 81 student reduction in our average daily membership. And that budget that you all have a copy of, it's projected on an average daily membership of 2,128 students. What we have seen thus far through our enrollment is that we are now projecting that our average daily membership for the year will be 2,160, which is 32 students higher than what we projected. Now, this is very good news for us because we look like we've turned the tide a little bit. I won't say we've completely reversed it because we're still seeing a reduction, but we've turned it from the significant reduction that we were expecting. 50 students is what we're projecting to lose this year, and that is still a significant number. So we will work hard to try and do everything we can with the superintendent, with the city manager, to try and reverse those numbers and try and turn the tide that we're starting to gain students instead of continuing to lose students. Now, what does this mean for us, for our budget? As with additional students comes additional state revenue. So we are anticipating to receive additional state revenue from these 32 additional students. And what we're recommending tonight is that we remove $38,000 of our Jobs Bill fund that we have currently in our budget. We have a total of 168. we're recommending removing $38,000 of that jobs bill fund and adding that to the available balance. So we'll go from $243 to $281 for what's available for a one-time bonus. And what we want to do is we want to use a part of these additional state funds that we're going to receive as part of our operating budget. So we're just going to do a little fund switch. And then the remaining additional state funds will be set aside and used for federal sequestration, those automatic federal cuts that we are expecting. We don't know exactly what those numbers are going to be, but certainly I addressed the school board last month and talked about what those cuts are anticipating. And then we also have some new special education costs that were unanticipated coming into this year. So we will set aside those new additional state funds for those expenses. Now, if I can talk to the recent history of our compensation increases to employees. Over the past 4 years, PCPS employees have received a 1.02% increase. That was effective July 1 of 2011. A couple of months later, City Council provided us with additional funds. They voted to give their employees on the city side a bonus, and they gave us the same exact dollar figure, which translated to a 1.55% bonus. That bonus was given to employees in November of 2011. Also, in 2013, which was effective this July, employees were given a 2.4% raise. Now, what's important to note here is that this was really no new money to the employees. This was all as a result of actions taken by the General Assembly to push the employee rate of the VRS to the employee, which we had been paying for the employees since the mid-1980s. We were paying 5%, which is that employee rate, and now we have to push that to the employees. PCPS decided to phase in that approach. We had the option to go full 5% at one time, but to do that, it was going to cost us $100,000. So we took the phase-in approach in order to not to impact the budget so significantly in 1 year. So, but that 2% was really the cost of VRS. The additional 4% was the additional benefits or taxes that they would have to pay on that for FICA and other things. So that 0.4% just really made them whole. So just to recap, and what our recommendation is tonight, is that we want to utilize $281,000 of our jobs bill funds to provide a one-time bonus to employees. And for most employees, the bonus will be 2.5% of their base pay, and that no employee will receive less than $500. And that's my update this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Bowen. Board, are there questions? Anything there? Okay. All right.
I will just add quickly that there are about 18% of our employees who the $500 minimum bonus will favor, will impact. So that giving the minimum bonus does benefit a number of our employees.
Good. Anybody? Thank you very much, sir. Next, we'll hear from Mr. Pappas with the operations update.
Good evening, Chairman Carter, School Board, Dr. Parrish. In the area of maintenance, you may recall that this summer we rolled out a new camera entry system at both the primary school and at the high school. And we worked very closely with Principal Butler and Principal Wright. And we all had our fingers crossed, but I'm pleased to report that it's gone very smoothly for all the constituents, the office staff, the teachers, and the students, and as well as parents who come to the schools. So all that pre-planning paid off. In the area of food services, you may recall we've discussed several times the Healthy Hunger Free Kids Act of 2010. And that's a phased-in program, and it just keeps getting more and more stringent as we go. But this year was one of the bigger leaps, and it presented quite a bit of challenge for us this summer for our food service provider. We're necessitating total menu revamps. And we felt it was going to provide some significant challenges for students as well. Well, we're working through our challenges, and the students have adapted amazingly. At the first few days, they weren't sure what the new meal patterns really meant, but they're catching on amazingly quick. Just a testimony to how smart our kids are here in Poquoson. In the area of transportation, by the end of this week, all 4 schools will have performed their semi-annual bus evacuation drill, and we do it again in the fall. And then our new routing software has been paying great dividends. We spent a lot of time this summer building routes and working with our other software programs to populate the software for routing. And it's fantastic because now we have a very quick response when we're trying to locate what bus a child should be on and what stop he or she should have gotten off on. We have those things right at our fingertips. Additionally, the other thing that's just fantastic from my perspective is that a substitute driver who is now given someone else's route, may never have had it before, now gets a road-by-road, turn-by-turn, stop-by-stop written set of directions with each child's name and which ones are kindergarten. It's just fantastic. And that sums up the operations report.
Great. Yes, ma'am. Ms. Wilson.
I was curious if Aramark found the low sodium spaghetti sauce.
Aramark is forcing its vendors to reconstruct based on the stringent rules, all sorts of new products. Our chicken nuggets, which we haven't gotten yet, are going to be phased in next month. The vendors haven't been able to process them because, as you remember, any breading must be whole grain, must be the first ingredient. So it changes everything.
And one thing I've noticed at my school this year, in 20 years of teaching, I actually had one child buy lunch one day. And it's been a significant decrease in the amount of children buying. So I've been curious if we've seen a decrease.
We saw it initially, which we thought would happen, but we are seeing steadily an increase. Again, the kids in Poquoson are smarter and than general population in the country. Not your school system, but our school. They're very smart, and they're catching on very quickly with what the new meal pattern is. I have to tell you, the cashiers have to train me. I go in and I'm like, what is it? And the students know. And when they don't pick the components that comprise the new meal pattern, the cashiers are very quick to assist them.
But needless to say, we're tracking the meals closely to see how it goes because we are concerned from a budget standpoint. If we do see a big decrease in meal purchasing, it could impact certainly our food service vendor, but also ultimately the division. So across the country, there's been a concern, and you're seeing part of that, and we're watching to see the impact we feel in ours as well.
These things that used to not be a la carte are now a la carte.
Right.
And this is federally mandated.
This is a regulation given to us by the federal government, and our food service vendor and our students are rising to that occasion. It has changed the mix, but we're watching it and we're doing what we can do to make sure that we meet the students' needs, meet the guidelines, and hit our sales projections.
I won't say anything. Okay. Thank you, sir. Anybody? Okay. Thank you very much. All right, instructional update, Ms. Colley.
Good evening, Chairman Carter, members of the board, Dr. Parrish. About just a few instructional updates for you this evening. And I'll just start where we were last month, and that was looking at accountability. And we talked a little bit about state accreditation and reported that preliminary results made us look like we were accredited. And we thought we'd be talking with you this month about our federal accountability. You'll recall that meeting new annual measurable objectives, or AMOs, as we've been hearing about, was based on new targets for reading and math participation, performance, and also the Federal Graduation Index. VDOE originally set some targets for the AMOs, but have now decided to re-examine the math ones based on the data and based on input they have received from the public. So these changes have impacted then our timeline for presenting data to you. And we've put together a little timeline for you so that you can see when different data points are coming out and then how we then can report back to you. So SAT data comes out next week, and also next week, VDOE will release the final accreditation reports, and we'll meet next week on the 27th. And the Superintendent of Public Instruction plans to recommend that the Board of Education waive first review and approve on final review math AMOs for 2012. That would be based on achievement from 2011-12, last school year. They plan to propose expediting release and approval of 2012 AMOs, but then will do first and second readings of the AMOs for subsequent years and approve that later this fall. So contingent on all of that going through VDOE and the Board of Education, then we anticipate that release to be early October, and then when we come back together October 16th, then we hope to have all of the data you're used to seeing by now prepared for you, AP, SAT, and also these federal targets. And that's a timeline for you. But in the meantime, we would like to talk a little bit about SOL testing and how we're preparing. In fact, we have some students taking SOL tests tomorrow at the high school. Building on the success of the SOL program, the state over the past few years has attempted to better prepare our students for performance, college and career ready, 21st century learning by creating more rigorous English, math, science standards. And we started that last year with our new math tests. Last year, we had new math tests. This year, we're going to have new English and science tests. And along with that, not only did we mention already that there were a lot of technology-enhanced items on the test, but beginning with this year's administration, all students will be taking online testing so that paper and pencil phase out is complete, except for students with documented need for that. So how is Poquoson preparing for the rigor on the tests? Well, teachers have worked together to totally revise the Poquoson City Public Schools curriculum. The math and the English has been rewritten. Teachers work together. They use the state-supplied crosswalks. They created pacing guides to adjust instruction. And this year, they're working on creating some multi-step and analysis application type problems and questions and assessments to meet the rigor of those tests. The new curriculum is being deployed this year, and we're currently also working with our ITRTs to get that curriculum moved over to our intranet so that it's accessible for teachers on the intranet as well as in a hard copy. In addition, the VDOE has provided new content on their website, including instructional videos for right down to specific strands and specific skills, and so teachers have those available. In terms of technology, recognizing that this test in and of itself is different, teachers are using Department of Education created guides to be able to walk students through just the technical part of taking this test and being able to move things around and how that's different than maybe a video game or manipulating other things online and what to expect. And building that comfort level will go a long way to helping students be prepared for the test. Teachers are also using lots of iPad applications in science and reading and math to just increase the students' opportunities to work with technology and those kinds of items. And then just so that everybody knows, students and teachers and parents in the community can also practice these tests online at the VDOE site. And so we are working through those as well. Finally, we are really developing a strong professional development plan for teachers to work together with them to meet their needs, specifically in these areas. Teachers attended this summer the English SOL Institutes provided by VDOE, and they actually came back and during convocation and worked together in teams and updated one another and walked through some of these changes. There are science institutes coming up, and we will be sending some teams to them. We've provided training on other VDOE materials, including the enhanced scope and sequence and the technology enhanced items. And we are also planning together with our faculties multiple professional development opportunities by department that's really tailored to meet the needs of the students. They spent a lot of time during the pre-service weeks digging into the data and looking at where gaps might be, looking at crosswalks between the old and the new standards, and trying to determine what's the best way to move forward this year. So lots of good things being done, and lots of teachers working together and pulling together to get it done for our students. So any questions, SOL or our timeline?
Anything? Very good. Thank you very much
All right,
for your
thank
work.
you.
And teachers, anybody who may be listening, I know there are some obstacles, but we have all the confidence in the world that you can meet those head on and overcome those obstacles. All right, thank you. Ms. Sidney, would you take us through the consent agenda, please?
All right, our consent agenda tonight consists of A, approval of August board minutes, regular and work sessions, and closed. B, approval of financial reports, and closed. C, personnel action, and closed. D, authorization to dispose of surplus property, and closed. And E, authorization to accept and expend funds in accordance with attached request, and closed.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move that we accept the consent agenda as presented.
Second?
Second.
Ms. McDowell, could you call for a vote, please?
Mr. Hux?
Aye.
Ms. Wilson?
Aye.
Ms. Whitaker?
Aye.
Mr. Melton?
Aye.
Ms. Sidner?
Aye.
Chairman Carter?
Aye.
The motion passed by a vote of 6-0.
Okay, next up is other matters for consideration. First one is consideration of approval of the No Child Left Behind grant for 2012-2013. There was a reading file enclosed. Do I have a motion to approve item A?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Does anybody have any questions, comments? Very good. Okay. Ms. McDowell, could you call for a vote, please?
Mr. Hux?
Aye.
Ms. Wilson?
Aye.
Ms. Whitaker?
Aye.
Mr. Melton?
Aye.
Ms. Sidner?
Aye.
Chairman Carter?
Aye.
The motion passed by a vote of 6-0.
Thank you. Next up is item B, authorization to expend federal jobs bill funds for a one-time bonus for Poquoson City School employees. There was a reading file enclosed, and also that was Mr. Bowen's presentation. Do I have a motion to approve item B?
I'll move that we approve the expansion of federal jobs bills monies for the one-time bonus.
A second?
Second.
Does anybody have questions or comments about that item? Okay, Ms. McDowell, could you call for a vote, please?
Mr. Hux?
An adamant aye.
Wilson?
Ditto that aye.
Ms. Whitaker?
Absolutely aye.
Mr. Melton?
Aye.
Ms. Sidner?
Aye.
Chairman Carter?
Aye.
The motion passed by a vote of 6-0.
Thank you very much. Item C, consideration of approval of proclamation for Virginia Disability History and Awareness Month for October, and that was also enclosed. And the Disability History and Awareness Month simply works to increase public knowledge, awareness, and understanding of disabilities, and to help ensure full participation of students with disabilities into the life of our schools. And do I have a motion to approve item C?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any questions, comments there? Again, thank you, teachers, for your work in that area. And Ms. McDowell, could you call for a vote, please?
Mr. Hucks,
Aye.
Ms. Wilson,
Aye.
Ms. Whitaker,
Aye.
Mr. Melton,
Aye.
Ms. Sidner,
Aye.
Chairman Carter.
Aye.
The motion passed by a vote of 6-0.
Okay, thank you. And we'll move into, I'm sorry, Ms. McDowell, do we have any public comment tonight?
No, sir, we do not.
Okay, great, thank you. And communications, Dr. Parrish, would you like to kick us off?
I would love to. I want to thank everyone. We had a very, and I'm knocking on wood as I say it, smooth start to the school year. Everything went well, and it's been wonderful to see students back in the classrooms and learning during the past 2 weeks, and we're certainly looking forward to a great school year. I also personally want to thank the board for approving the recommendation that we brought forward for the bonus. My hope is that sometime in the near future, we're going to be able to do more for our employees, and I know I echo you all when I say that, with a more permanent compensation for our employees, and I would certainly hope that we can look to the state for their support in that endeavor in the near future as well, and we'll wait to see what happens in the coming months related to that. But again, thank you for providing the support to our employees. I know that it will be much appreciated for them, especially in November 20th when it comes forward in their paychecks. I also just want to let the community know, if you haven't heard, that in 25 minutes, Rachel's Challenge is a program that we are putting on at the high school, and we are providing that opportunity for the community this evening. And that is in part the reason that we actually are canceling the work session this evening, so board members have the opportunity to attend that program, as many of you have students in the high school. And we did have that program this morning, and it was very successful with our students. So those are my comments for the evening.
Thank you. Jesse?
Good evening, and thank you, board. I'm going to start with the high school today. We had Rachel's Challenge program this morning, and I thought it was pretty awesome. A lot of my friends liked it. Honestly, I cried. I think it really got to the student body. So on October 1st is back to school night for the high school at 7 p.m. The homecoming dance is October 6th, and homecoming is October 5th, which is the parade and the football game. And the week before that is Spirit Week, which is going to be really fun, hall decorating and themes, and it'll be great. All athletic programs are up and actively engaged in competition. Schools are organizing and planning for this school year. So Key Club, Leo Club, SCA, FCA, and many other clubs are getting together and starting their programs. At the middle school, the fall fundraiser is going on, and it's a great time to renew your magazine subscriptions or order magazines as gifts. Help support the middle school with this fun fundraiser. After school clubs are starting up at the middle school. Go online to the homepage to read the daily announcements about these clubs and when and where they meet. The Poquoson Middle School Back to School Night is tomorrow night, September 19th at 6 p.m. At the elementary school, they had a great back to school night on Thursday, September 13th. They're off to a great start with a new 5K reading program called Benchmark Literacy. Teachers and students are excited about new iPads available for teacher and student instructional opportunities. Teachers are scheduling parent-teacher conferences, so if you are a parent, please make sure you schedule a conference with your child's teacher. I always know that always scared me when my mom was like, I'm going to school for a parent conference, and that scared me. I was like, am I in trouble? The primary school has gotten off to a great start with a few more students than expected. They have had a safe bus assemblies. Wow. They've had bus safety assemblies for every grade level to begin the Peaceful Bus program. Last Friday, the character education program entitled Spark had its kickoff with the Poquoson cheerleaders and a skit by the resource teachers. To enhance their stand with No Bullies, Thursday the 20th, they will have a program entitled No Bullies Allowed by Chris Johnson. They are looking forward to everyone coming out to back to school nights, which are on September 24th and 25th. And on the 24th, preschool, kindergarten, and Miss Barton's and Miss Edmondson's class will be on that night, and on the 25th, all the other second grade students will go on that night. This concludes my report for the 18th of September. Thank you, board.
Awesome. Very good job. Thank you. That was a lot to
If I could
go
just say,
through.
Jesse, I have a feeling that you did not need to worry about those parent conferences.
Okay, Mr. Hux.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Would like to recognize and thank everybody on our bully prevention committee for arranging for Rachel's challenge to come to Poquoson. Much appreciated. Thank you.
Ms. Wilson.
I certainly enjoyed listening to Into Pocket, and they just think they're just wonderful, and I hope they have a great year. And I have my quote for tonight, because after tonight there's 9 more, and you won't see me anymore. And this one is by Anatole France. And Mr. Hux and I decided that as you get older, this really applies to everybody, this quote. "An education isn't how much you have committed to memory or even how much you know. It's being able to differentiate between what you know and what you don't."
Very nice. Thank you. Ms. Whitaker.
Just one thing. I attended the opening night of our football season here in town. It was wonderful. It was embarrassingly, it was the first high school football game I've been to since I was in high school, and for a minute there I was able to forget that it was not my football games until I went to stand up, and then I was jolted back to reality that I am not 17 anymore. But with that said, everybody please come out and support the team. A lot of fun, great fun, great times. Everybody's kind and polite, and it was just really a good time. I'm looking forward to, I think there's a game this Friday at home. So please come on out and support the team. Thank you.
Mr. Melton.
I'd like to thank Steve Pappas and his team for getting the schools ready and in good, safe working condition, and the school principals and their staffs for doing all those fire drills, tornado drills, and bus evacuation drills. But the point here is our children's safety is number one. And they all arrive in good shape. They should all go home in good shape. So we appreciate those efforts. And I do look forward to serving on the Special Education Advisory Committee and look forward to that first meeting. And go Bulls. I'll add that on there.
Amen.
For you.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Sidner.
All right, I would like to ditto Ms. Wilson's comment about the chorus group. They were wonderful. It always amazes me, the beautiful voices that students have. And also, I'd like to say that there's all sorts of other sports going on. I enjoyed a very exciting JV field hockey against Tab yesterday. So I think all the sports, I want to wish them all good luck.
Thank you. I'd like to congratulate and thank everybody for a nice, smooth start to the school year. We heard no issues, and that was good to not hear. Also want to make everybody aware that the Poquoson Education Foundation, their barbecue dinner, I guess they'll start selling tickets sometime in early October. So make sure to support them. And the Rachel's Challenge, do we know who initiated that?
It was the high school has a bully prevention committee, which is a group of teachers and administrators, and I think students may be involved in that as well. So they were the ones that really brought them forward.
Okay, Mr. Wright, if you could please personally thank them, that committee, from the board. The feedback I've gotten from those who attended the high school program this morning is that, like Jesse said, it was very powerful, had a huge impact, and sometimes it's incredibly difficult to really get the attention of kids. And when you can, the impact and the just the impression that it leaves on them is good. So if you could please pass that along to that committee, I would really appreciate that. Thank you all very much, and like Dr. Parrish said, we have canceled the work session, and we're going to, I guess most of us are going to try to make it over to see the Rachel's Challenge presentation tonight for the community. And I would encourage anyone listening, you still have time to make it. No matter where you live in Poquoson, you can get to the high school in 15 minutes. Thank you very much, and we will adjourn.
All right, no bridges across in Poquoson.
I guess we have them.
No bridge tunnels in Poquoson.